The Church of England, a symbol of faith and moral authority, has been forced to confront a dark chapter in its history, its deep entanglement with the transatlantic slave trade. For centuries, the Church profited from the brutal exploitation of enslaved Africans, amassing wealth and influence through investments in slave trading companies and the ownership of plantations. Recent revelations have exposed the extent of the Church's involvement, prompting calls for accountability, reparations, and a sincere reckoning with its past. The Church's complicity in slavery challenges its moral standing and raises uncomfortable questions about the relationship between faith and power. How could an institution dedicated to compassion and justice be so deeply implicated in the suffering of millions? Unveiling this truth is painful but necessary, as it forces us to confront the enduring legacy of slavery and the need for genuine atonement. The Church's involvement in slavery was not limited to a few rogue individuals, but was systemic and widespread. From investments in slave trading ventures to the management of plantations, the Church actively participated in and profited from the enslavement of Africans. This uncomfortable truth has cast a long shadow over the Church's legacy, demanding a thorough examination of its past and a commitment to reparative justice. The Church's recent acknowledgements and apologies, while a step in the right direction, are only the beginning of a long and arduous journey. The true measure of the Church's commitment to justice will be its willingness to confront its past honestly, make meaningful reparations, and work towards a future where the sins of slavery are never forgotten or repeated. One of the most egregious examples of the Church of England's involvement in slavery is its investment in the South Sea Company through Queen Anne's Bounty. Established in 1704, Queen Anne's Bounty was a fund intended to help impoverished clergy. However, the fund's managers, seeking to maximize profits, made substantial investments in the South Sea Company, which held a monopoly over the British slave trade. Between 1715 and 1739, Queen Anne's Bounty poured vast sums into the South Sea Company, directly financing the transportation of an estimated 34,000 enslaved Africans across the Atlantic. These investments, worth approximately £204,000 at the time, equivalent to a staggering £443 million today, generated significant profits for the Church, contributing to a fund that is now worth over £10 billion. The Church's investment in the South Sea Company is a stark reminder that its involvement in slavery was not merely passive but actively fueled the brutal trade in human lives. The profits generated from these investments enriched the Church while simultaneously condemning countless Africans to a life of forced labor, suffering, and early death. The legacy of Queen Anne's Bounty's investment in the South Sea Company continues to haunt the Church of England, serving as a powerful symbol of its complicity in the horrors of slavery. Acknowledging and addressing this historical injustice is crucial for the Church to begin the process of reconciliation and healing. The Church's involvement in slavery extended beyond financial investments to the direct ownership and management of plantations. In 1710, Christopher Codrington, a prominent planter in Barbados, bequeathed 2 lucrative sugar plantations to the Society for the Propagation of the Gospel in Foreign Parts, SPG. These plantations, known as the Codrington Plantations, became a major source of income for the SPG, which was closely affiliated with the Church of England. The Codrington plantations were worked by over 300 enslaved Africans who endured horrific conditions and brutal treatment. The SPG, tasked with spreading Christianity, turned a blind eye to the suffering on its plantations, prioritizing profit over the well-being of those it claimed to serve. Documents have revealed that successive archbishops of Canterbury, as chairs of the SPG, were aware of and approved payments for enslaved labor on the Codrington plantations. This direct involvement of the Church's highest authorities underscores the systemic nature of its complicity in slavery. The Codrington plantations stand as a chilling example of the Church's hypocrisy during the era of slavery. The Church's willingness to profit from the forced labor and suffering of enslaved Africans on its own plantations exposes the hollowness of its moral claims and the depth of its entanglement with the slave trade. The Archbishop of Canterbury, as the spiritual leader of the Church of England, held a position of immense moral authority. However, historical records reveal that successive archbishops were directly involved in the governance of the SPG and its slave-run plantations. These religious leaders, tasked with upholding Christian values, played an active role in perpetuating the system of slavery. Archbishop Thomas Secker, for example, who served as Archbishop of Canterbury from 1758 to 1768, personally approved payments for enslaved people on the Codrington plantations. His signature, found on documents authorizing the purchase and sale of human beings, stands as a stark reminder of the Church's complicity in the horrors of slavery. The Archbishop's involvement in the management of slave plantations raises troubling questions about the Church's moral compass during this period. How could the spiritual leader of a faith that preached love and compassion condone such cruelty and exploitation? The Archbishop's actions, far from being isolated incidents, were representative of a wider acceptance within the Church hierarchy of slavery as a necessary evil. This acceptance, rooted in a belief in white supremacy and the economic benefits of slavery, allowed the Church to justify its participation in this inhumane system. In recent years, there has been a growing recognition of the Church of England's historical role in the transatlantic slave trade. This acknowledgement has led to public apologies and calls for reparations. The Church has taken steps to address this dark chapter, but the journey towards reconciliation is ongoing. Many believe that true reparations go beyond financial compensation, requiring a deep and sincere commitment to justice and healing. As we reflect on the past, it is clear that the path forward must be paved with genuine efforts to atone for historical wrongs. The Church of England has begun to address its historical ties to slavery. Acknowledging the past is the first step towards healing. This process involves not just reflection, but active steps to make amends. Ongoing research is crucial in uncovering the full extent of the Church's involvement in slavery. Accountability means facing uncomfortable truths and accepting responsibility for past actions. It is through this transparency that trust can be rebuilt. Discussions about reparations are gaining momentum. The Church of England is exploring ways to provide reparations that are meaningful and impactful. This involves listening to the affected communities and understanding their needs and perspectives. Ultimately, the goal is reconciliation and justice. The Church seeks to build a future where the wounds of the past are healed and justice is served. This journey is ongoing, requiring commitment and collaboration from all involved.